I'm really into my theme music now, guys. I don't know for the OGs in the room if you guys remember my old BronxWitch music. Um, I heard a rumor that you think I'm a witch. God damn, I must be a powerful bitch. Y'all remember when that was my theme? Yes. I was watching some old videos and I was like, damn, I might need to bring that theme song back. Because I totally could. But welcome, welcome. If this is your first time here, what's up, what's up, what's up, witches? I am Alysha Kravetz. This is the Beyond BronxWitch YouTube channel. And you are tuning into High Tea Live, which is my monthly full moon Q&A for the witches. It's an opportunity for us to come together, enjoy some herbs, whether you are smoking herbs, burning herbs, drinking herbs, and just chill out and ask questions about witchcraft to keep us on track so that we're not repeating the same thing every week or getting too all over the place. I do typically come prepared with a topic for us to start off with and kind of focus on. And this month's topic is healing the witch wound, which if you've never heard of, then maybe that's a good thing because then maybe that means somehow you're not dealing with it. But we are going to define exactly what that means and all of that good stuff tonight. So if you haven't heard of the term, stick around because you'll learn a little bit about it. And who knows, maybe you are dealing with it and just don't know that. And we're definitely also going to talk about how to approach that and how we've been dealing with it in our lives. And the reason why I keep saying we and our is because I have a very special guest today, Alexis Alvarez, owner of Electric Wellness. But you guys probably know her as Shop Witch if you've come to HQ, and as the online portal administrator if you are in the coven, if you are active on the portal, if you take any of our virtual classes, if you are on our mailing list. Then Alexis is the witch extraordinaire that keeps all of that together and keeps all of y'all information. Make sure you have all the information that you need to level up and educate yourself as witches. But beyond that, Alexis is an expert energy healer. I feel like every witch, kind of has an area that they're particularly good at, that they come here with a lot of skills towards, and energy healing is Alexis's skill. And she, expresses that through sound healing. Some of you may have attended her beautiful sound bath session in Bronx River Park this morning. She does that through light healing. She does that through divination. She does that through Reiki. And she uses all of those skills in her business, Electric Wellness, to heal people, but also to help witches figure out how their spiritual gifts can translate into prosperity and financial abundance in terms of like their professional careers. Because maybe you came here to be a professional psychic or a medium. Maybe you came here to be a tarot reader for hire. And she's able to help you like identify that and turn that into a business like she has. So very multifaceted and talented. Super excited for her to be here with us. A couple of things that you guys should know. Most of you are tuning in from the coven right now, but some of you are watching on my YouTube channel or Alexis's YouTube channel or the BronxWitch HQ YouTube channel. And definitely shout out to all of you. Welcome in the building. But if you actually want to get in the stream room, get your questions answered, see your comments up on the screen, and be able to interact with us, then you are going to want to join the Coven community. So if you are a Coven witch, you are a monthly member in our Coven community space, then instead of tuning in from YouTube, I encourage you to go ahead and log in to your account in the Coven, click on the events tab, and tune into the stream link so that you can actually get your questions answered in real time and talk with us in real time. Everybody else who's watching from YouTube, this is an opportunity for you to learn more about us, learn more about this topic, but you won't be able to interact with us. We won't be taking your questions and commentary and all that good stuff. Certainly welcome to talk to each other in the chat, but we probably won't see what you've got going on. So that might be a reason for you to join the Coven. The Coven community is a part of the HQ online portal. This is our learning platform where we have dozens of classes on witchcraft, esoteric studies, energy healing, etc. And we call the Coven community like the cafeteria on campus, basically. So there's a discussion feed where you can leave videos and posts. We can talk to each other and we talk about all kinds of stuff. There's also virtual events that are exclusive for Coven Witches, and this is one of those exclusive Coven Witch virtual events. So definitely check it out. The link is down in the description. You get a 7-day free trial, so you can hop in there and check it out, see if it's worth your while, and then if it's not, you can peace out. No harm, no foul. Otherwise, you can stick around, and it's just $9.99 a month. And the level of access that you get to me, to all the other witches, the guest instructors that come through, the discounts that you get. I post spells in there. I'll be giving out my spells for free and stuff. So it's pretty juicy what you get for your $9.99. And we just recently launched a new tier of membership for the Coven, a $19.99 tier that is called the Dedicant tier, that we're really excited about, because these Coven witches, in addition to everything else that comes with being a Coven member, are also going to be able to enjoy our digital downloads completely for free. So whether we post spells or ebooks, or we have webinars from ourselves or guest instructors, you're going to be able to see all of that for free, which is really, really cool. So definitely consider either upgrading to that level if you're already a Coven witch, or joining at that level if you want all the good things. Couple of announcements for my witches. While I'm giving those announcements, everybody go ahead and drop down in the chat what you are enjoying, because this is high tea, okay? And you guys know I've been on quite a bit of a hiatus from regular cannabis consumption, okay? So I've been getting high off life in the high teas these days, not necessarily high off of cannabis. But if you are, drop that down below. If you're enjoying other herbs in some way, drop that down below. I am enjoying my herbs in tea form, and I am sipping on my blood clot chai, okay, which is my menstrual cramp relief blend. But actually, Alexis can tell you it's good for more than just menstrual cramps. Basically, any type of muscle cramping, it is good for, because she likes to enjoy this tea when she's got like back cramps and back pains and stuff like that. And if you tuned into my last live, you know that my birthday involved a little bit of adult fun. So I need to make sure that, my lady parts are regenerating and stuff like that, okay? Because, God didn't send me here to have babies. So Blood Clot Chai, take a look at it. It's on our website. I want to let you guys know that this weekend we've got a bunch of lives. First of all, Alexis went live for Moonlit Metaphysics yesterday, and you can watch the replay of that on her YouTube channel. On Sunday, the Witches of Color support group is going to be meeting, continuing with this theme of witchy healing. We're going to be getting into the really tough topic of slavery, and whether or not slavery is really over, what the continuing impacts of slavery are on people of color, but specifically on witches of color, and how magic can maybe help us, and how our magic has been maybe hindered by slavery and its effects. So it's going to be kind of a deep meeting, but the idea is for us to be able to come together as witches of color, BIPOC witches, and give each other that kind of support through these types of tough topics. So if you are a witch of color looking for community and support, definitely join the Coven and participate in the Witches of Color. And I want to let you all know that in September, I am debuting something I'm really excited about. I posted about this on the Shop IG page to see if people would be interested, and I was super happy to see the response. But I have decided to launch something that I am calling Witch Talks. It's like TED Talks, but for witches. And it's happening at HQ. I'm probably going to do them like every other month. And it's a lecture series. You're going to be able to come in, enjoy a glass of wine or some water if you don't drink wine, and enjoy a lecture from me on a topic. There's going to be time at the end to mingle and meet people. So this is a great way to meet other witches if you are in the New York City area. And if you are not in the New York City area, Coven Witches are going to be able to watch the live streams for free. So I am really, really excited about launching this series. September 15th at 5:00 in the shop is the first of the Witch Talks. And the topic is going to be overcoming religious trauma. How can we deal with the absolute drama that some of our really religious upbringings have put us through as witches? So really excited about that. You can find that on our events page, bronxwitch.com/events. And if you are a shop member, not a Coven member, but a member of the shop, you can get half price or free tickets to our in-shop events. And there are some really, really cool ones coming up. I don't know if you guys know It's Juju Bay from a little bit of Juju podcast, but winkety wink, 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 she might be coming through. So becoming a shop member is a great idea too. Cool. Angie says, I love the upgrade option. Love that, Angie. What's up? What's up? Hey, Kimberly, how are you? What's up, Diana? In the building, at work, but in the building. That's absolutely fine. Hey, Monica, how are you? What's up, Nisi? Welcome. Angie is having a little cannabis and some sleepy time extra. That's a classic. Okay. Kimberly's having some vodka and Sprite. No ups to me. Okay, turn up, get lit. Yes. All right. Angie said, what's up? And yay, excited about the lecture series. Okay. Yes, Nisi. You know what I'm saying? No judgment here. I love it. Gonna tune into the streams of the Witches Talk. Love that. Okay. Welcome, everybody. All right. I think that's enough of me yapping. It is time to say hello to our very, very special guest. Welcome, everybody. Miss Alexis Alvarez. Hey. How we doing?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Yay. So I bet a bunch of you, like, I don't know if you guys are like used to seeing Alexis's face. If you come to the shop, then you have. If you tune into Moonlit Metaphysics, then you definitely have. But if you are just on our mailing list or you just take our virtual classes, you might not yet, unless you've taken some of Alexis's amazing classes, like her Pendulum Master class or her Crystal Concoction class. So if you are starting to get familiar with this community, then this is a face you should commit to memory, because you're going to see her all over the place helping to make this community run. And super, super grateful to have you here, my love.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the amazing introduction and warm welcome. I'm excited to talk about our topic today.
Yeah.
I came prepared.
Of course, good, because I didn't. My week has been a little bit crazy, and I was like, "We have a topic. It'll happen. It's off the dome." You know what I mean? I'm the freestyling rapper. You're the one with the notebooks. You know, so it's gonna either make a lot of sense or it's not. A little bit earlier today was wild. Last night was crazy. I went out with Perrin again. I'll just leave it at that. He forced me to. He bought my ticket. This is a part of my renaissance. It's a shedding, blah, blah, blah. He's having a spiritual journey and he's taking me with him, and I'm going with it. And it is what it is. I actually had a really great time. And I'm glad
It's
that I
very
did.
cutesy. It's very demure. I like it.
Yay. And I don't know if anybody else has been dealing with extreme insomnia for this last week. I think Nuri was talking about this in the coven. I am super sensitive to the full moon. I typically have like insomnia, but it's usually on the night of the full moon or the night before. It's not like a continuous thing. But I have literally, like, I got home last night, 1 a.m, very tired, and literally did not go to bed until 4:30, and I don't really know why. So yeah, it's been hitting. This full moon has been hitting for sure. So that was intense. And then I recorded a little podcast episode that I can't really tell you all about just yet. Coven witches pretty much know what's up, because I don't know how to keep my mouth shut, and I leak like a leaky faucet. And so I've been dropping hints that are not really hints. I've basically told you guys what's going on, but it was pretty cool. I think I held my own, and it was a super dope experience. But yeah, I had no time to like prepare, so I'm just going to talk about my own life, basically.
Yeah, I'm down. I think that's where it starts. I mean, that's how we figured out what the witch wound even was, by like introspection, and then started
Yeah.
with our own lives. So that's where it's gonna start.
Yeah, I definitely didn't like know the phrase or know the concept until like later in life, later in my practice. So yeah, Angie's gotten 14 minutes of sleep in the last 3 days. That's a lot. Nuri in the shop was said that they were up for 36 hours. So yeah, it's been a really, really intense one. New moon in Aquarius, actually, resident astrologer, or full moon in Aquarius, rather. Um, do you have any thoughts, theories as an astrologer on why that is? You're like, no.
I would tell you to go read my blog because I throw it all out there. And the thing is, there's so many retrogrades right now that what is happening is heightened and amplified by all of these retrograde motions. So it's like a lot. It's like go read the blog.
Okay, go read the blog, you
Um,
guys.
but the intensity, the fatigue, the insomnia, the kind of scattered brain, I talked about this yesterday in my live. It's definitely prominent. My family members have been coming up to me, talk about witch wound. The ones who never like to admit that I'm a witch are now like, hey, like what's happening with like the planets? Because I'm feeling so fatigued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, us being witches is the devil until some shit comes up that they realize we can help them with. And then all of a sudden it's like, could you make me tea? And it was like, I thought I was Satan. Oh. But now you want a crystal for that? Shut up. Figure it out yourself, But that's always how it goes down. Um, well, in that case, read the blog, everybody. I do think that just like in the little bit that I know about astrology that I have learned, especially as a Leo, Aquarius is like on the opposite end of the circle for me. So whenever the moon is in Aquarius, whether it's new moon or full moon, it's kind of a uncomfortable time for me a little bit. I don't really like Aquarian energy because of the way that we're like similar. And so that's a little bit of a struggle for me in general. But I feel like what I feel about Aquarius energy is a out of the box, abstract, kind of spacey, not spacey like not present, but like spacey and like a extraterrestrial, galactical kind of a thing. Which for a Leo lion, that's like the opposite. We want to be like in this world. We want to have like more kind of practical thought patterns and approaches to things. And it's not always easy for us to like think outside of the box. So I really kind of feel like this full moon in Aquarius is hitting so hard, aside from the fact that it's a super moon, but also just because it's got my brain thinking outside of the box. It's got me up all night thinking about ideas and, my new life and what I want to do differently and all of this stuff. And since I can't really think about that stuff during the day because I'm busy doing the witch thing, being the Bronx witch, it's at night that I'm finally able to sit here and be like, let me manifest a whole new reality for myself. And my brain wants to do it, and my body's like, bitch, go to sleep.
Yeah, I think there's more of a that seven energy of for August is really the theme here because we're thinking all that thought process has to happen. All that retrograding is us slowing down and thinking of different aspects of our life, overthinking it, analyzing it to a point of like, nitpicking. Um, because now's the time. This 7 month energy asks you to isolate, solitude, introspection, meditation, sit on that, think on that. And so we're forced into these moments of like, damn, let me do this thing like I've been thinking about. And it feels a little frustrating or like even like start and stop, but uh yeah, taking a slower approach and more thought, more introspective approach to it might help deal with that. Meditate, ground. That's going to help this month.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. Alexis dropped the link to the blog, by the way. I'll throw it up on the screen. So if you guys go to buymeacoffee.com/electric, that'll probably take you to the main site, and then you can navigate over to the blog. But that's like the direct link for the Coven Witches that can just click on it. And I was listening to, I like to, first of all, thank you so much for your Moonlit Metaphysics breaking down the difference on Vedic and Western astrology. I listened to somebody on YouTube called Vedic Life Coach. She's obviously a Vedic astrologer. And I think she's from Australia and lives in the UK, but she's like of Indian descent. And she was talking about the Cancer forecast, which against my desires, I am. okay, in Vedic astrology. I have a hard time accepting,
It's
but
so fitting though. Like
it
you
is
see
not.
it. Like
It is not. I
that's
am
why
a
you're
big
looking up
bad
cancer
lion
shit.
roar. I am not a mushy emotional crab. But yeah, no, it actually is. It makes a lot of things make sense once I realize that. But yeah, I'm very begrudging about it. But so I was watching her forecast and she was saying this might not apply to everybody, but if you are a Cancer in the Vedic, meaning if you are a Leo in Western, she was like, one easy way that you can overcome the insomnia part of it is to exercise, which is also more bad news for me. But yeah, to exercise and just wear yourself out. But she also said if like physical exercise isn't like your thing, you could also meditate, trance work, or anything that just basically lets you like kind of space out and connect with the divine. Because the Aquarius energy is all like, the cosmos, the creator, all. So meditation would help as well.
You make a good point, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but that's hitting the head on this webinar I'm about to do in September called Discover Your Psychic Type. And the
Yes.
exercise would work great for one of the types. Meditation. So you have to kind of navigate what primary type you are for you to make use of these. Because, like you said, that doesn't really work for me. That's probably because you're not necessarily that type. And the energy would be more easily released with a different tool.
Yeah. It is also because I'm lazy.
Yeah, well, that's neither here nor there. That's not.
I'm self-aware. It's okay. I know what's up. You know what I'm saying? But I like the idea of being like, it's just not my psychic type to
Yeah, it's not your
exercise.
type. Yeah,
Like
it's not an
Alexis said, it's
alignment.
not in alignment
Yeah,
with me to be
right.
exercising. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Don't
saying?
go against the grain of the universe.
Like, you
It's
want me to
not
go
meant to
against
be.
God? Really? Like, God made me this way. So, like, come on. Hey, Cynthia, welcome, welcome. What's up? What's up? So enough people have come into the building now. Some of you might be really new in this space. Just one more reminder, if you are watching from YouTube, whether you're watching on my channel, Alexis's channel, or the BronxWitch HQ channel, welcome to the building. You're more than welcome to stick around and check out this live and all the info we're going to share. But if you actually want to get into the stream room, be able to ask questions, see your comments up on the screen and interact, then you are going to want to join the Coven community. You can do that right now. The link is down in my description box. And you get, and Alexis as well, the HQ one as well. So wherever you're tuning in, just go into the description, click on the link. You get a 7-day free trial, so you don't have to pay a single damn dime to get into the stream room right now. So go ahead and do that. Sign up for the Coven, start your free trial, and then once you're in there, just go to the events tab and click on the stream link for this event. You'll be able to come in, ask your questions, and really interact with us and all of that good stuff. So the witch wound, how would you describe it?
Not even wanting to say the word.
Yeah, boom, right, that part.
Like
That part.
I dabble in things. Not even getting to that point yet. You're like, that's a part of that witch stuff.
Yeah.
Um, how would I describe it? Like definition style would be a religious trauma.
Mhm.
Um, you know, something that is scaring you into the idea of what it is to be a witch or what witchcraft is in general, or just the concept of people out there doing things that can hurt you or harm you, I think has been drilled into a lot of organized religion. And so people sit with that trauma, like, it's built in.
Yeah. Yeah. You really hit it right there, because I feel like of all the things that I've heard, like the most commonly with, helping witches on their journeys and just being in the shop and things like that, is this like this aversion to using the word. to being so interested in witchcraft, to be so interested in all the aspects of it, to buy all the books and buy the crystals and the herbs, watch all the YouTube videos, follow all of these witches, but stop short of actually being able to say, I am a witch. And not necessarily because they don't feel like they are, but because they're just afraid or like hesitant about embracing that word. Really, the word like really kind of hurts like people, even when they they know that that's what they are, or it's what they want to be, and they just like, it's just hard to just be like, yeah, I'm a witch.
It was hard for me.
Yeah.
I am going to be 100% real.
Hmm.
I did not use the term to describe myself professionally
Yeah.
until I started working with you.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I realized that.
Everybody knows I'm a witch. That's the
Yeah.
whole shit. Like my family, they were calling me, they were like santera or like use espiritista, like brujeria. There's some type of, you're a witch, right? Like that's what you,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I do these things, but like I'm not like a witch. Like I learned Wicca and I know the Wiccan read, but like I'm not like a witch. Like I like candles and connect with spirit, but like I'm not like a witch.
Ah,
And they were telling me for so long, and it's
right.
yeah, I metaphysical provider, spiritual life coach, color therapist, sound therapist, logical approach to it. Why? Because people would laugh at me. Like that's literally the trigger.
Yeah.
They would think, and I tell you, we have conversations about this many times, the snake oil thing.
Mm.
There has just been an association with people who try to um, connect you with nature and like the tools of nature, that it's like hogwash.
Yeah.
So as soon as you step in the door and you're like, oh, did you know like ashwagandha and turmeric and ginger are really good for anti-inflammatory and can pretty much prevent like all the things?
All
They're
the things.
like, bullshit, not FDA approved.
Yeah. Wow.
So my rational, logical Virgo-ness did not allow me to say that in public.
Hmm. Yeah, Angie has a good point that it took them a long time as well, and that they would use terms like witchy or new age, so like you're saying, spiritual life coach, metaphysics provider, like all of these words that, basically get at the point, but that don't actually say that. And it's like, well, where does that come from? Where does that aversion come from? And the idea of the witch wound, as I understand it, is that because witches have been prosecuted and persecuted for so many generations and for so long, and so many of us carry that in our lineages, whether it's in our blood lineages or like in our like spiritual lineages, if you believe in like reincarnation and things like that, that you have lived different lives as well. um, that there's like a almost like a genetic impression. Well, for if it's ancestry, then it is like a genetic impression, literally. And if it's like a past life type of thing where you're not necessarily related to former versions of yourself, it's like an energetic DNA, energetic genetic impression, but that there's an impression left on us where a part of us remembers what it was like to be driven out of our towns, or hung, burned at the stake, imprisoned, made to feel like weirdos, made to be outcasted in our communities, people talking about us, and just generally being considered like undesirable, and all of these things. It's really never been a time in history like this. Is probably the best it's been historically for people who like outwardly identified themselves as witches pre post like the Judeo-Christian religions. Because before the Judeo-Christian religions, you wouldn't even be considered a witch. You would just be pagan, but so was everybody else. And you might have particular skills, like be an oracle or what have you. But you were treated quite differently. But like ever since, the first century, we have the prevalence of the Judeo-Christian religions and the idea that people who practice paganism are evil and scary and dangerous. And so that begins the torment of them by societies, especially, Judeo-Christian ones. And so for hundreds, well, 2,000 years, for a couple thousand years, anybody who has that title put on them has been treated very, very poorly, to the point of maybe even being killed. So, we've had thousands of years to have this really like suck. And so now it's like kind of cool a little bit. If you read my comments, you can tell it's not super cool, but it's better. It's probably the best it's been in those 2,000 years, and we carry the wounds of how really bad it has been before now.
You bring up a great point, and I think that was one of my main talking points for tonight, was that uh, it, culturally speaking, is the perfect time. Or I'm gonna say was. I'm gonna take a couple steps back, and I'm gonna say when you and I were growing up, and I do you remember being influenced by all the thousands of movies? And I'm not just talking craft. I asked ChatGPT to pull me a list because I'm like, no, there's like 1,000 movies that were during our time period as a child, as children of the 90s, that, things from the Never Ending Story, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, The
Practical
Addams
magic.
Family, Practical Magic, Hocus Pocus, Matilda,
Yeah.
fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was during my prime of 13 to 18. And I was like, I was Buffy, bro. Like, and even though that
You
not
were a
what,
Buffy girl. I wanted to like
yeah,
Buffy, but I was charmed all day. I was
I was,
charmed all day.
I wasn't charmed. I have a problem. I had a problem. I don't have a problem. Shannon Doherty kind of rubbed me the wrong way. God bless her soul. I don't.
May she rest in peace.
Yeah. So, but that
She
was the
rubbed a lot of
thing.
people the wrong way. You're not alone in that. She was the problem child of the 90s, for sure.
But my point being is that it almost made it cool for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And as the OG witches, because I'm a whole about to be 40 in a year, there is, that was like bonus points. That was not not coincidental.
Right.
Nothing is coincidence. So I feel like having that fear to step out and call ourselves witches for those thousands of years, and being repressed, and and not and allowing the FDA to take over. No, I'm a joke. But
They
but
listen
like,
to these lives.
I know, I love you guys. Allopathic medicine is the best. But when you like take away that fear and you allow it to be okay, like
Yeah.
practical magic, craft showed you some of these things were like very caricature witches, right?
Yeah.
Like hocus pocus, right?
Yeah.
But some showed you some real shit. Like
Yes.
craft showed you energy's neither good nor bad.
Yep.
Practical magic showed you don't do no spells if you ain't ready for that.
Yeah.
Like
I
there are
was just talking
consequences.
about that today
Hmm.
in the podcast I was recording, about the effect that that the craft had on our generation. Now, I'm just turned 38. And so what I was saying to those folks was that because the question was asked to me, like, did it actually help? Like, did it actually help as like a young black witch? Hey Nuri, what's up? What's up? To see the craft and to see the different characters in the craft. And I was like, yes, absolutely it did.
Yeah.
Because even though, like, look, it's not a fucking documentary, it's a
Right.
movie. So the CGI roaches and shit coming out of the walls and stuff, like, yeah, we're okay, that's not
I
happening.
did try to change my eye color mad
Me
times.
too.
I'm not gonna front. I'm
Me
not,
too.
and light as a feather, stiff as a board all day, bro. Like
I didn't do that one because I didn't have friends, but I
I
definitely tried to change my eye color. That was the first spell I ever cast. And you want to know something really weird?
it
So
like
I
something happened, bro. Something
something
happened.
happened. So
Something
here's the thing.
happened, bro.
I tried to turn my eyes blue, right? Because I have brown eyes. So, like, what's going to be the most dramatic thing? I tried to turn them blue. I wake up the next morning after sitting in my living room behind the couch, hoping my mom doesn't see me. I cast this little spell. I'm like, okay, I go to bed. I wake up in the morning. I'm like, ah, shit, nothing happened. All right, we'll try something maybe a little less dramatic. But the weirdest thing is, you know, the whites of your eyes? Mine have a blue tint. And my eye doctors like have pointed it out and mentioned it. I forget what they call it because like some people's are kind of yellow, some people's are kind of like greenish, orangey, like they take different tones. Mine is bluish, and I don't know if it was like that before I cast that spell.
No, I believe you.
I
That
think maybe I just didn't know how to aim at my
but
young
that's what I'm
12, 13
saying.
year old age. I think I fucked up and
Grounding,
changed.
centering, cleansing,
I didn't take all the
protection,
steps. You know what I
stochastic,
mean?
you feel me? That's what we're here for because we watched the craft and practical magic, and now we can school the youngins on how to do it correctly and
Yes.
how not to be afraid of the term because that whole shit was trying to scare you into not stepping into your power. That was
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think that like because I'm so grateful to have come up during that particular time, you know, because we had all of these really like not even just like positive, like it's not even like super like I would say Charmed was super positive because that was very specifically like these are witches and they're the good guys, right? They're the good guys, they're fighting the bad guys and all of that, you know, so witches are good things. But the craft doesn't necessarily paint the witches as the good guys. It's just that the witchcraft can
Yeah.
take you in a lot of different directions. So they kind of just show you
It's
the
about intention.
spectrum.
That's what they told you there. It's
Right.
about intention. You can
Right.
manipulate the energies in the way you intend. Do you want to
Yeah.
be crazy with it? And
Yeah.
then probably not succeed because you're not doing it from a centered place. You're not
Hmm.
doing it from a mindful cutesy place. That's not going to work for you. I am so addicted to that goddamn trend. I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
But so I do like the craft because it showed you the variety, right?
Yes.
But there were many darker themed things. There were a lot of dark themes in Buffy. I mean, hey, we totally forgot about Harry Potter. Like that's the whole thing. That there's something called the Harry Potter effect. Did you know that? Shout out to
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Tell me more. Why are all your conversations with AI? You have
Because like
friends.
I also have no friends.
That's not true.
I had them when I was little so I can practice, but then they're like, "What are you doing, Alexis? This is
No,
super
that's what
weird."
Nuri and I are here for. This is why we have dinner together. You talk to us, okay? Stop talking to your chat GPT.
Wait, so listen to what he said though. Mine's a he. Um, no, seriously, there's something called the Harry Potter effect in which our generation just had a profound kind of impact with magic.
Yeah.
And it's never kind of left. It trickled in the 90s and it hit hard with Harry Potter in the late 90s and it kind of
Yeah.
stayed throughout. 25 years later, he's still on Broadway and my nieces and I went to go see that show and they're totally into it.
Yeah.
So it's just influenced pop culture in a different way to understand um, magic in a different way.
Yeah. No facts.
Reclaiming witch and wizard in a positive way. Like, I don't think that has ever happened in a time period until, like you said, since before we were just free to be pagans.
Yeah. No, Harry Potter has had a huge impact, especially like so for our I don't know how generations work, but for what those of us from like 35 to 45, right? We had Charmed, we had Buffy, we had Craft. For the like 25 and down crowd, or I guess the 25 to 30 and down, Harry Potter really is like their introduction into like magic from like a positive spin. And even though that's a very like Harry Potter's obviously a very fantastical world and you know all of that stuff, it still very much set up that generation to look at magic in a positive way and to look at the word witch in a way that they could easily use it and not have all of this stuff going on. So for us, it was still something where you would never just walk around calling yourself a witch. You wouldn't hear people really doing that. But then Harry Potter came onto the scene and really made it like there are kids that have grown up in worlds where witches are good things from the jump. They've never had the idea of like witch is only a bad word, and something has to be changed about that. And we were like on the cusp of that, where it was like witch was just a bad word, and then here come these little bits of like pop culture things that are kind of changing that a little bit. And then you fast forward to the Harry Potter years, and it's like, oh nope, our hero is a witch. Our hero calls himself a witch. He's born of witches. It's like a blessing to have witch blood.
You don't
Like
want to
to
be a
not,
muggle. No,
you
who
don't
wants?
want to not be a witch. Like it's not, that's not basic, bro. Like you want to be cool if you are a witch. And also, of course, we can see what happens if you use that power for bad, right? There are bad characters, there are antagonists in the thing, but the hero, the protagonist, the main character is a witch, out proud. That's what he is, and we know that from day one, even before he knows it. And it's 100% a good thing. And so that is something that we didn't grow up with, that I do think that the generation just like after us, or the younger end of ours, really benefits from, that they got to
Yeah,
see like the star of the early 2000s be a witch, and be a boy, and be a witch. I mean, that
yeah.
really opened it up for everybody to
I'm
completely
sorry.
kick down the idea of like the old, decrepit, evil lady in the woods that never has children and then like maybe eats them.
Eats them. Totally eats them.
Yeah, because like what? But so yeah, so that's a huge benefit, I think, of like today. And I would imagine that that makes it a little bit easier for folks that are like 10 years younger and more than us to just say I'm a witch and like really own it, but not necessarily, because of the witch wound, right?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of us in our generation, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, so the younger generation is not so impressed by that witch wound because, like you said, they've been introduced to the idea that it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, or it depends how you wield the energy. Um, and so a lot of us, it's we have to. There's a thing we have to deal with. If you're noticing that you're into it, but you're resistant in using the term, then there's a problem. You
Right,
probably have a witch wound. You're
right.
more than most likely past life. You want to throw some woo woo in there. Past life was a witch, spiritualist of some kind, and suffered because of it. And so you don't want to come out of the witch closet now.
Yeah.
Those things need to be addressed. I mean, we don't gotta do self growth stuff, but like, I think that's what we're here for. And
Yeah.
so, if you want to involve yourself in that world, but are hesitant to even say the terminology, then there's some work that you need to get through. Some shadow work needs to be done. Some witch wound healing needs to be done because you're a witch. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You are what you are. And apparently there's a new movie called Tarot out. I'm not the best movie person. I don't like, I'm just not really into movies. We grew up kind of poor, so we didn't do that. My mom was very much like, you know how like they're like, we got McDonald's at the house. Like we got, yeah, my mom was like, the movie will be on TV eventually.
It do though, like on TNT for like 15 times in a row. So you
Yeah.
got it. Like
See,
one
now
day,
back in the day, it wasn't like now where like it immediately was on streaming. Like you had to wait like a year and a half, but it
that
was gonna be on there.
you see what streaming platform. But no, but I love. I did see that. I scrolled past it because I felt that they were kind of biased and trying to like put down my tarot. But I will give it a shot.
Yeah,
The Magicians also great show. I love that show. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe changed my life. I was in fifth grade when my teacher read it out loud to us because that was like the cutest thing. And he did all the characters for each individual. I know he was an amazing man. God bless his soul.
I love.
And bro, it changed my life. Literally, I'm like, oh, we can do. There's a Narnia. Like I am. Where's the nearest wardrobe?
For me, it was the Bridge to Terabithia. Did you guys ever read The
Oh,
Bridge to Terabithia? Which I don't even remember if it was particularly witchy, but it kind of was, if I remember correctly. It was basically just like these two kids that would like go off into the woods and they could like truly be themselves and they would just make up these like fantastical worlds. Um, And then, spoiler, I think one of them dies. It takes a dark turn, I think. It was kind of intense for a kid, but yeah, Bridge to Terabithia was like my thing that was like, oh, you can create realities with like your imagination.
Yeah, the never-ending story, also not necessarily witchy, but just kind of blew my mind as a child. I was like, what the is happening in this
Yeah.
world? It's like another world. Um, and there's this, it's an old Disney movie, and it came out the year I was born, but I'm sure I watched it on that replay thing we were talking about. And it's called the Black Cauldron, the Black Cauldron, I think. What
Hmm.
a dark, they should never have, that's not a children's movie, is what that
Well,
is.
that's like
But it's
Fantasia.
which is also in my
Fantasia
head.
is
I can't,
scary as fuck
that is in my
with
in my
Mickey
brain.
Mouse. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is this?
Yeah, I was into it though. I like the macabre. I'm in, that's why I like the Lydia Dietz and the Christina
Mm.
Ricci's and all of her, whether she's Wednesday Adams or in Sleepy Hollow, I'll do all of that macabre.
What
I like
was the
it.
book? I think it was C.S. Lewis, where like the main character goes through all these different
Oh
dimensions.
yes, the Magician's Nephew, great one.
And is that what it's called, The Magician's
The
Nephew?
Magician's Nephew, him and this girl next door neighbor. He's like, look at my attic. My attic's mad chill. You know the garden homes in London, they're all together and
Yeah.
they figure out a way to get into somebody else's attic and they find they're like, oh shit, this dude, this like old grumpy ass man. And then they find like a bag of like rings in there. They put one on, bam, portal, different place. A
And then
thousand
like,
different prawns.
is it at one point where they're in the second dimension and they're flat like paper and they can't breathe?
Yeah, I think they get out of there pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They were like, "Oh, we got to get out of this one." Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But I remember reading that one. It was so we had all of these like great references coming along that like helped, with looking at
supernatural.
just
Yeah.
these concepts in a different way. And where we are right now in terms of like the popularity of witchcraft and stuff like that, and the coolness even of it. I feel like if you're alive right now and you are still struggling to call yourself a witch, particularly if you're younger than us, like if you're 30 and under and you're struggling to call yourself a witch despite being very adamantly interested in all of these things, then you are definitely dealing with a very present witch wound because it should be the easiest for you with all of the positivity around it. It should be the
Yeah.
easiest for you to just find some other witchy friends, say whatever, to like the people that don't get it, and
Yeah. That's
just do the thing.
that's a great point. That's an absolute great point. If you're younger than 30 and you're like, I don't want to use the word, it's like the devil, right? Then
Right. I'm
no,
scared of
mama,
what
like
people are gonna
come
think.
come to our side. uh
Come over
no.
here.
Yeah, there's some, you need to deal with some witch wound healing stuff
Can
for
I
sure,
can
for sure.
I be honest though in that? Because I know we were joking and being like, oh, come over to this side, and like I mean this in the nicest way, everybody. Honestly, I mean this in the nicest way. For those of you who are like under 30 and dealing with a very present witch wound, can you do me a favor and actually like not come over here until you work that shit out?
No, facts though.
I'm
Like
sorry.
what we do won't serve you. You will
No.
be hesitant at the door.
And you just fuck shit up for us because here's what happens. Those are the people that start exploring the craft, get spooked out because they don't heal that witch wound, and then are on YouTube talking about
Yep.
the devil almost took me. Oh my God, I rebuked this, and now I've saved my life again, and I'm burning all my tarot cards, and these people are
Mm,
awful people. Can
I'm
you
sorry.
guys
Yeah,
not do that? If
don't do that.
you are interested in witchcraft and you have this like fear about it and you have these pains about it and you can't just look at yourself in the mirror and say I'm a witch and like get over it, go work on that shit and leave us the fuck alone until you do, because all you're going to do is get weirded out by something because you never addressed your underlying discomfort. And then you're going to go the other way and for whatever reason decide that you want to like shit on us like we're the problem. We're
No,
not the
no.
problem, you're the problem. You need to talk to somebody about that.
That's just whole religious trauma. That's
Right.
religious trauma. That's there yeah, we're spiritual and this is our life, but there's a certain point, like fear doesn't run me.
Yeah,
And once you notice that fear is running your belief system, I think you need to check that.
yeah,
Um, whatever side, whatever you believe in, it shouldn't be fear based.
yeah. Deal
So,
with
so
that.
yeah,
Deal
deal
with
with
that
that.
shit and
Yeah,
don't come
deal
over
with that. We
here.
don't have a class on religious trauma. Maybe we can get a guest instructor on something like that. But
No, well, I'm going to do my lecture
okay,
on overcoming religious trauma for my first Witch Talk series. So this is like all in alignment, and that's going to be live streamed to the covens as a live stream. So it won't be a class per se, but it's going to be a lecture, which I guess is like a class. It's not like you're going to have like materials or anything like that, but I am going to be talking about the topic and sharing my experiences. Growing up in a very Christian household and the things that I was afraid of and the things that I was told we're gonna like ruin my life. And then I started, practicing the craft, and now my life's pretty dope. And more than that, like I'm happy. Like regardless of whether or not like you look at my
that's
life
the
and say
one.
like that's a dope life, like I'm happy. And not to get off on the religious trauma tangent too much, but like one of the things that annoys me about the organized church and the people who have decided that like it's their job to like convert everybody to that is that they don't seem to give a shit about your happiness at all. Like, so people literally come to me in my comments, and I find it so fucking hilarious. Like, I'll post about taking a spiritual bath and about how it has cleared my head and made me feel good and gotten rid of a bunch of stank ass energy, and I feel refreshed and I'm so happy. And they're like, give your life to Jesus. And I'm like, did you hear the part where I said that I feel better, I'm happier, I feel clear, I feel, did you hear that part?
More
No.
connected with God. You didn't get that?
Right.
No?
And
Okay.
more connected with God? No. You're like, oh wow, really? Fuck that, you didn't do it this
This
way.
way, copy. No,
So,
thank
right. So
you.
it's like, fuck you. You clearly don't give a shit about me. So when they come back with the whole, like, oh, I'm just saying this because I love you, I'm like, fuck
No,
you.
you
You
don't.
don't love anybody. You're a part of a cult and you don't know that. And you're a little agent that has been taught to repeat shit that even you don't understand because I just told you how happy I am. Why don't you care? You're like, oh, but I love you.
But Jesus loves you. I
Some
know
lady said
that.
that to me today.
I love him too.
While I was bringing in the shop sign, some random lady in the building, as I was walking in, she was like, sis, you know that Jesus loves you. And I was like, yep, I'm aware. Have a great night. And I went in the shop because,
Um,
first of all, who the fuck are you?
oh,
Who are
comment like
you?
Doreen
You literally
Virtue.
don't know me from a can of paint, and you have no idea what's happening in my life. And you want to push something on me with no concern whatsoever with whether or not it would actually make my life better. You just want me to do your shit. You're a little robot. You're a part of a cult. You're a weirdo.
There no critical thinking skills,
At
unfortunately.
all.
Um, no, but yes to the Doreen Virtue that she flipped
Yes,
like
that
a hot
bitch.
cake, and Kat Von D as well,
Yep.
shitting all over us.
They not like us. That is very true, right? Okay, we're representing for the Christian witches, right? Let's not bash the Christians too much because it really isn't about.
It's not
It's
that.
not about that at
It's
all. It's not about.
trauma. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a certain group of each religion, not just of the Christians. They just tend to make a lot
exactly.
of
It's
noise, but
religious trauma. It's
every
being
group of religious people have the people that are just here to like traumatize the rest of us and are not actually invested in anybody's
not
happiness.
that. It's not even religion. It's people who are in their unhealed state, not aligned to their power, not doing the things that makes them happy. So they lean on things to fill stuff up, but they're doing it for the wrong reasons. So they become almost addicted to it, or they connect to the incorrect ideology. Like it's like
Sorry, Neri said, I'm like, okay, he loves you too. Like, go us.
bad.
Yay. Thank you. Yes, I'm
I don't
aware. Like,
understand.
woo. I'm so
Like,
happy.
Jesus is my homeboy. I don't
Jesus
understand.
is my homeboy. Like, even more today than ever, which is like,
Facts, which is very interesting. Like as
that's
soon
a whole thing.
I think that's because my very, 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 very Christian grandmother passed recently in 2021. So
Yeah.
I feel like that might be why. She's like, bitch, Jesus. And I'm like, all
Yeah.
right.
For me, it's Black Herman. For me, it's Black Herman. As I've
Very
been working with
Christian,
him
yes.
as a devout Christian, like I was kind of struggling with that. And what he has basically shown me is that, like, that faith, first of all, I learned something important about Christ, which kind of put him into perspective for me, because I've, for the longest time, thought about him as like different from like any other deity and stuff like that, just because, and I think this happens for a lot of people that grow up in a Christian household or a very religious household and get into the craft. You feel like you have to completely push yourself away from that in order to embrace being a witch. And then over time, I see a lot of people start to come back with a
But
deeper and
why?
different understanding.
But why? Because they told you that's the devil. They told you that's the
Right,
opposite.
right,
So
right.
you're an
You didn't
assumption that,
have a real relationship with that deity, so you didn't know. So you're just listening to what people are telling you about what this deity loves, doesn't like, all of this stuff. So it's very common for that. And so I was definitely one of those people that was like, hey, listen, no, like, no problem with Jesus at all, but like, he's not for me. It's just not my thing. And then recently, I've learned that, like any other deity, they respond to offerings, they respond to an exchange of energy to build a relationship. And what makes him just a little bit different from a lot of the others, not all of the others, but a lot of the others, is that his ideal offering is faith.
yo, that, oh my God, that have faith thing is like irking me
That's
a little
that's
bit,
his
but
thing.
like I hear you. And so I'm gonna follow through. And so
That's
I've
his
also
whole
been
thing.
called to have faith a lot recently, but like
Yeah,
literally it's like have faith. And I'm
yeah.
like, all right.
That's his whole thing. Like some deities really like, blood sacrifice. Some deities really like offering. Some of like, food. Some like rum and like spirits and alcohol. Some like whatever.
Cigars.
His thing is, I literally pulled an oracle card and it was like just crazy. I was like, okay, what do I need to do right now? Like to like work with Jesus, which is a question I don't think I ever thought I'd be asking. And literally, I pull a card that says, I surrender to faith and devotion.
Yeah, Jesus loves you.
That's his whole thing. He loves you if you have faith.
If
Um,
you
and, and, the, and to be clear, it's not faith in him, which is what people I think get confused. It's faith in God, the bigger concept, the thing that he calls his father.
creator source energy, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Faith in
it's
the
faith
fact
in
that everything is happening in divine timing and that you are in the exactly where you need to be in this now.
yeah.
Faith, faith in that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but no, Kat Von D, fuck that Michelle. Yeah, Black Herman has been all over the place. Child, oh my gosh. It's been for the first time in a very long time, there's been so much going on with me spiritually, working with Black Herman and all of the revelations and now Jesus and things that have been happening, that I haven't even had the time to like journal about it. I literally wrote in my journal the other day about my last trip to Harlem for my birthday and going to Abyssinian Church, Baptist Church, and like connecting with Black Herman. In my journal, I wrote, see my last YouTube video, because I just can't write it all down because it's just been so much. But like, just to validate the relationship that I've been having with start shouting at other Baptists, yeah, to validate the relationship I've been having with Jesus, someone came into the shop, someone that's been following me for a brief period of time online, but someone that I would definitely put into the category of like these random angels. I've told you about these random people that show up at the shop with like prophetic messages for me and things like that. So he showed up. He's from California, but he happens to be in town. He's a performer, and he came to the shop, and had like a whole impromptu channeling session. We talked for like an hour. It was pretty intense. And at one point, he left the shop because he wanted to get Black Herman's grimoire and prayer card or candle, one of the two. And he wanted to pay in cash. And he was like, oh, you know what? Let me go to the ATM. So he goes to the ATM and he comes back and he goes, I wanted to ask you something. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, why is Jesus Christ up in here? And I was like, well, god damn. This is somebody that just started following me. I don't think they're on the YouTube channel. They are on Instagram. And he was like, why is Jesus Christ up in here? Because he was like, there were ancestors like all over the place when I first got here. And then there were a couple of other like primordial spirits and things that came through. And then there was a child at one point that had come through. And he was like, but Jesus Christ is up in here. Like, what's that about? And I was like, it's a whole thing. We've already been talking for 2 hours, and I got to get back to this. But
He's cool with us. We're
yeah,
doing a thing. We're
we're
doing a thing
doing a
right now.
thing,
We're
and we're
doing a
doing
thing right now. Don't worry about it.
yeah. Trinity and original sin.
Yeah,
I
I
feel like
don't.
that is emphasized a lot in Catholicism because I grew up like in the AME church, and like I don't feel like they talked about the concepts of the original sin and stuff like that so much.
Yeah, I grew up Roman Catholic, so I got all that, and that's why I used to get in trouble a lot because what
Because what?
a baby like
Right.
that. I didn't understand that, and the Trinity, I'd be like, oh cool, so we're pagan, we got three gods, and like
Oh
uh
my God. Try to tell them that they have a trifecta deity. Oh my God. You're like, but the dad is the son, and also the son is the dad, and then also there's this other guy. He's
a
them too.
Holy Spirit. So we do believe in ghosts though. So there's a no to that. Just the spirit only, just the Holy Spirit. Okay, but yeah, I used to get in trouble.
Make it make sense. But then when you call it what it really is, it does make sense. You're like, oh, it's a trifecta deity. And it's like, oh, yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
oh,
absolute
that makes
sense.
more sense. Like a Hecate, like a
Yeah,
three-faced goddess or something like that. I understand
right.
the different aspects of this energy, this
Yeah.
source energy, this
Parvati is Durga, is
master
Kali.
healer, this
We've
master
seen
healer
this
energy.
all over
Yeah,
the
oh,
place. Like,
copy,
yeah,
cool. Um,
it's different forms, same dude.
those little votives that y'all be lighting, that we be lighting, that the church be lighting, that's candle
Calling
magic.
it it's doing candle magic.
That's whole candle magic. Okay. All right.
Hmm.
But I can't light my candle?
Right. Yeah. No, I was just saying that to somebody. I was like, because the neighborhood we're in obviously is a very Latin neighborhood. And I've had little old Spanish ladies walk by. Well, in the Bronx, we call everybody Spanish. In case you guys are clear, no one is from Spain. But I just want to be clear that like we call people by their language. So, but there would be these little Spanish ladies walking by, and I literally overhear them like saying prayers, protecting themselves as they like shuffle past. One of them I call shuffle, so she's got a little waddle when like shuffling past the door. Meanwhile, you wake up every Sunday morning, smoke the whole house with frankincense and copal, wash the floors with Florida water, and say an incantation over your grandchildren every time they leave the house. But when I do it, it's brujeria.
It's biased. There's a little bit of racism involved
That part,
there,
that part too.
colorism. Because what I recently saw, there's a lot of Catholic influence in the Caribbean islands as well. So they have a lot of religious trauma as well.
Right.
And they think and they justify the things that they do as to be the Dio, of Jesus and stuff like that. When if you run it by the Roman Catholics, they would be like, nah, none of that. So.
Cynthia said, I get in trouble because I said, if they expect me to believe God is three persons, then don't tell me a person can't use the pronoun they.
That
Right. Like Cynthia be causing all kinds of ruckus in her town because she goes to all the meetings and all the things, but she also like speaks her mind. So, she be ruffling the
that
feathers. I love it.
bro, I took a Bible as literature class in college
Me too in high school, though. Yeah.
just to like fuck with
Yeah.
people, because what ends up happening in these classes that are theoretical and philosophical in nature, they're college level Bible as literature classes, as literature, not as literal. You get these like really really religious people to come into class and kind of like defend the Bible, like that's their point of coming to class. And
Right.
I just had so much fun with them. Like, so you're
Yeah.
trying to tell me that Moses was not on opium when he was seeing that whole burning bush situation? Like, that's a total possibility. That was a very common drug at the time. Like, history, like, there's, I had fun. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful book, and there's so much to learn from it. But there's a lot that you cannot take literally. you
Right.
know?
It's a book. And not to like not even to get into the parts of like which book is it and which parts were left out. Like imagine reading book 7 of Harry Potter and having like chunks of it cut out, right?
Correct.
Um, so yeah, there's that part, and then like historical context, the different versions that were commissioned. How many
Yeah.
people are walking around with a King James version of the Bible in their purse but don't know who King James is?
Yeah. And and
Or
and,
when
and
he
the
was alive,
parables.
or what his motivations were, or what he felt about black people or
Yeah.
women.
Facts on all of that and all of the other versions that were contrived by every other individual who's decided to change things according to their whims, or their, because they're weird, they like whatever. But there's also like the actual parables themselves. People are uninformed about the fact that Matthew, Mark, Luke, all of these people were writing to different individuals, and so the stories are very different and almost contradictory. So
Well,
you
here's
have,
here's the important thing, and that explains that though, because what a lot of people don't know if you don't study the Bible from like a historical perspective is that the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were not written
written,
by
not even
Matthew,
written,
Mark, Luke, or John. They were written by their disciples
people who were
hundreds of
listening to them,
years later. And with
telephone.
right, with each book, they are further hundreds of years later, where it's the disciples of the disciples of the disciples. And this is why the story is different across the 4 different versions, because people are playing telephone, and then when it finally got written down by somebody, it was a very much altered version of what happened with some similarities around it. And most people who are spouting Bible verses have no idea that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't ever write a single fucking word in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Nor do they understand things like the word Psalms means song, and those are songs. And I don't know if you've ever listened to a song, but we don't sing songs like, "Hello, girl, my name is Mike. It's nice to meet you." We are poetic and we are descriptive. You know what I'm saying? There's an Usher song that I really like where he basically says he wants to dick you down. He says, "I'm a dog with a bone. I want to bury it in you." We use a lot of innuendo when we're writing a song. We like to make things rhyme and shit like that. So we don't speak literally. So there's so many layers of like the beauty of the text that is used to make up the Bible, but also the fact that if you don't have an education on these things, you really can completely be convinced that something else is going on. And then to have the nerve to just repeat that blindly, know nothing about it, and want to make other people's lives miserable because of it is just like, that's evil, if you ask me.
I feel like there's like a lack of education. I feel like education would help. I feel like our education system in America is like kind of fucked, and there's, as a teacher, as a background in education, I just feel like Common Core standards are important. And if you educate people on critical thinking skills, it allows them to, like we did, think for themselves when approached with a religion. I could be like, I don't think that's for
Yeah,
me. And then people can be like, oh, that's cool because we actually live in America and there's religious freedom. So you're good. You can do whatever you want.
do what you
But
want.
it don't play out like that. And that just is like weird to me.
Yeah. It's to me, I think it really just speaks to the heart of the difference between religion and spirituality, because spirituality is concerned only with your individual well being, your individual connection to God and to yourself. Whereas religion is not interested, it seems, in your well being at all. It's not interested in your actual genuine connection to God. It's more interested in the conformity of everybody acting out the same theatrics and reciting the same words blindly. But my argument that I've made to people, or the thing I've tried to point out to people, is to remember that the church, again, not the religions, not the people that are in it, but the church itself is a business. You have to think, when you start looking at the church the same way you would look at Apple or Starbucks, it all starts to make perfect sense. Is Starbucks the best coffee in the world? Absolutely not. But there are people that would literally drive an extra 2 miles to get to the Starbucks instead of the Dunkin' Donuts down the road, because the the business has built a brand that people like to be a part of. It's a club that they want to be a part of. They want to have the white cup with the brown cup sleeve and the green emblem. They want to have a part of the branding. And the church is a business as well. It is not going to, like, Starbucks would never tell you that you could grow a coffee bean better than what they sell you, right? So the church is never going to tell you that you could develop a connection to God that's better than what they're trying to provide you. They would lose their customers. And the way
Yep.
they keep you tied to the brand, even if the product isn't good, it's through that brand identity. So you walk around just like somebody with a Starbucks cup or, a Starbucks mug. You're walking around with your Bible and your cross necklace, and you're like, I'm a part of the club, look at the brand. And you need to realize that you are being used for free marketing. And I don't have a problem with being used as marketing, okay? If Marc Jacobs wants me to rock a Marc Jacobs t-shirt, absolutely, but you're going to pay me. And the way that the church should be paying the people that are doing its marketing is with actual results, happiness, and real connection to the divine. And they're not. And so many people are okay with that. You are getting stiffed, you are getting robbed, you are getting shortchanged while you are doing all the work of promoting the brand for that business. Wake up.
Yeah, man. That I couldn't have said it any better, but that's definitely hitting the point of like, guys, some people, it's for some people. It is for some people. If you've thought it through and you're like, no, but this resonates with me, then copy that is for you. But if you haven't, if you think to yourself like, damn, I haven't even really had like a convert, like, is this what I believe? Like, we need to be allowed to do that as human individuals, that and if you're not even allowed to ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem. Again, I bring it back to fear based. If you are getting ideologies of fear and hatred in your religion, that's a problem. Like, that's
Yeah,
not the point of religion and spirituality.
right,
So yeah, check those things. It shouldn't be making you hate other people. Like,
right. Or
that's not
yourself.
Christ like. That's definitely not what Jesus would do. So
Jesus
like, I
loved
don't,
himself
so
and
I don't,
everybody else.
yeah,
Um,
so
Monica has a really great point about the church not wanting priests to get married because of it was property related, right? And I'm sure the explanation that they would give wasn't, we want to make sure that we keep your property after you die and not that hag that you married, but the something related to God and men and da 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 da. And so there's a lot of these, like, I mean, they're lies. There's a lot of this like misinformation given by the church. The archdiocese is the largest landholder in the world outside of the Church of England. The largest landowner. And guess what? Everybody's country is a little bit different, but in America, not a dime in property taxes. Not a dime in property taxes. You, the parishioner, foot the bill for this organization to be wealthy, to be $1 billion company, and you pay for it to be $1 billion company, and they can't even do you the courtesy of coming through on their progress and their promise to like help your life be better. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to cut me off a piece of it with a check. Fine. But at least give me what you say you're going to give me, this sense of peace and happiness and belonging and connection to God. Like, at least give me that. I mean, personally, I would take the check, but something. Kimberly says, my mom went to a church by her house and didn't have cash for the basket they passed around, and the usher told her there's an ATM at the door. There are John Oliver. I don't know if you guys remember, he did the Daily Show right after Jon Stewart left for a while. Shout out John Oliver, he's genius. First of all, he has a hilarious but also scary and sad episode where he starts a religion to show how easy it is to start a religion, and how easy it is not only to start a religion, but to like get people to give you money for their religion. And that led him to do like more investigation into the people that are sending money for these like anointed prayer cloths and, say a prayer for me and da 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 da. Da. And it
the
was
holy
so
water.
sad,
Oh
right? The
my
holy water, the
God.
healing water. So
Peter
sad.
Popoff. That's his name, by the way.
There are people
Disrespectful.
that are elderly that are dying of cancer, that are giving their chemotherapy money to the church because the church is saying, oh, but put your faith in God, give us your money, we'll send you this bottle of fucking crocodile tears, and it will help you while these people are dying and giving their last time over to the church. That is the business of the church. And not every body in the church is that sleazy, but you have to understand that the only reason why something like that can happen is because it is a business. If it wasn't a business, you would never be able to do that on any level of the organization, because people would be looking for real results, real healing in their lives. They wouldn't be sitting here 5 years later, still riddled with cancer, giving you $100 every week for prayers in the prayer service. Okay. So, right. Not a parishioner, you're paying their taxes. Right. All of us, unfortunately, especially in America, this Christian organization, like we pay into the municipalities that allow these churches to exist without paying any taxes. And so my tax money, whether I like it or not, is going to the preservation of churches and the maintenance of the streets around them and their ability to be there, because of the stronghold that they have on us. So it's really not a surprise that so many of us are carrying such deep wounds that go way beyond even our own personal life experiences, but into our ancestral experiences and into past lives, if you believe that such a thing happens. Because this business has done a really great job of infiltrating everyone's lives. Even people that grow up in completely non-religious households have these particularly Christian ideologies that they like live by, that you kind of like can't get around. And it makes it really difficult for witches to be themselves. And I really feel, and I was talking about this today, that I am not trying to make anybody declare themselves a witch publicly, especially when they're not ready for it and all of that stuff. But I do really strongly believe, I know that is why I'm here, and that is why I'm the Bronx Witch, and why it's BronxWitch HeadQuarters, and why, even though so many people have pointed out to me that I would not get Jesus pamphlets in the mail or death threats on my YouTube if I just changed the name to, the Candle and Spirit Emporium or something like that. I know that. I'm well aware of that. I could call myself anything. I could put my picture on my merch instead of the words Bronx Witch, instead of the words Better Witch. I know that. I know that I'm here to change it for the next witch, to make it easier in real life, not just because pop culture has made it cool, but because a real everyday person has said, this is what I am. Get over it. And I believe I'm here to make it easier for the next person to say, this is what I am. Get over it. And hopefully they get over it too. You get over it first, and then start calling yourself a witch and telling other people to get over it.
Yeah.
Ooh, we have a
Uh,
question.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like this is the physical manifestation of what we're dealing with, like in the witch wound, like dealing with this kind of like bad name for witches, and breaking that down. But so yes, but I also feel like there's an energetic reason for that. I am a believer that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, simply transferred. So therefore, our energies are more than most likely have been affected by being a witch in some other time period. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's like, this is what we're doing now. Yeah. But that's because we were probably burned at the stake before.
And also, like not only on that end, but also consider that some of our ancestors were the witch hunters. some of our
Ooh,
ancestors or our past lives
facts.
were the witch hunters, were the religious zealots, were the Roman soldiers,
Mhm.
were the ones that were, running through the woods on the outskirts of town, rallying up the women and the pagans and the people that wouldn't conform
Yeah.
and levying taxes against them or cutting down their crops, trying to force them into the church. So we not only carry the wound of being persecuted, but we may also have been the persecutor and therefore might really have some conflict going on.
Well, I think that's the nature of energy. It's that you're on the scale of religious trauma.
Yeah.
Your soul has come here to deal with religion in various degrees.
Yeah.
So differently, you're either like, just speaking for myself, there was a past life where I was in religious cults, you know,
Yeah.
that I left everything, family, everything to follow these culty like things to my, to my disdain.
Yeah.
Um, so there's things like that, but then there's definitely witch past lives as well. So you that's what your soul is kind of here to learn, and that's kind of what the witch wound is all about. It's finding a balance therein and being okay, um, being okay with the term and the practice and the identity. um, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm just painting a picture for you in terms of like religion and patriarchal based religions like father, son, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And more nature based religions or other types of pagan religions where they are more matriarchal, and that upside facing triangle, the downside facing triangle representing masculine and feminine, put them together, merkaba as a star of David or whatever you want. But the idea here is the way that energy moves in those paths. It's a very masculine thought to believe that the top, the apex, is where God is, and we're all down here and we need to reach up to get to him because we're not there. We're not, and we never will be there. We're not God. It takes
Yeah.
away your power. It takes away your power, and they keep you there, a servant of that.
Yeah.
Flip it up the upside, learn about divine feminine, bring that balance back because we do need balance. We need the Merkaba, but understand that the power is brought down into you, into your center. You are the power. You take the power from the energy creator source, and it's yours.
Yeah.
It's yours. So
Right.
that separation, that's kind of part of the witch wound. We've been separated. We need to integrate.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting that the accusation from the hyper religious is that the witches are not connected to God, when it's like, that's y'all's thing, is to not be connected to God, to insist that you need an intercessor, which they're literally called intercessors. You need a priest, you need an angel, you need a saint, you need a something in order to get to God. You guys are promoting a lifestyle of not being connected to God. You're mad at us because we want to be so connected to God that we recognize that we are God. Like, it's ironic actually that that's it. I want to see what Neri says. Calling yourself a witch is announcing to the world that you are a rebel to the normal way of life, and many people don't like that. If one isn't able to handle the title along with the history, it makes the magic you try to create way more difficult to say it in a quick way. Yeah. I handle both internally in one accepting themselves and externally with handling the world and how people respond to you. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a back and forth. It has to be because we live in this 3D world, and there's conceptions and preconceived notions of what we are, and we got to battle that. But we have to
Sprinkle,
stand in our power.
yeah, sprinkle, sprinkle. A sheer star goddess. Yes. Everybody I know that like I really like, we always find out that we follow a sheer star goddess. I don't know how she's become like this like cult classic, like all on her own. But if you don't know who Ashira Star Goddess is, like definitely check her out. And I would say start. Do you know Ashira? Sprinkle,
I don't
sprinkle.
think so. I think like I'm not good with names, man. I don't know things. I'm old. I
Okay.
probably have seen her like.
Yeah. Okay. So follow Ashira Star Goddess or like check her out on YouTube, but go back to the old stuff first. Go back to the old stuff first, because when she first started, probably like, oh
Oh,
my God,
that's
might be
why,
10.
because I'm not a YouTube head. You know that. You've drugged me
Okay.
onto
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
YouTube, and
I don't
nowadays
even know if she has an Instagram. So
you
she's
see.
definitely like all the way YouTube, because she's about that coin and YouTube pays bills. So she is, but she also has another page called She Raw 7, where she's all about like, I don't do 50-50. This is how you get a man to pay for everything type thing. So she's quite controversial. And if you've ever seen anybody being like sprinkle, sprinkle while talking about like like getting your bills paid and stuff like that, that's her. And I she needs to trademark that. But so Ashira, if you go back to her old stuff, she really kind of started it out as sort of like a basic witch channel, with like, here's how to cast this type of spell, here's how to do like this type of thing. But you could kind of tell that she was different from the jump. But her focus of her videos is more just like, spell instructions and things like that. And over time, though, she really stepped into her like level up bad bitch, like my husband pays all the bills and I make my YouTube money and all that money is mine and blah 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 blah. Hey June, welcome. And but Ashira, her whole focus when she was really talking about magic and spirituality was around decoding signs and symbols and the power of the divine feminine and the power of dark matter. So she, for a really long time, was all about like decoding pop culture, decoding songs, decoding symbolism in people's music videos and stuff like that, and talking about dark matter and how dark matter is more powerful than the light, and how if you're a witch that's like just trying to operate within the light, there's only a certain amount of things you're going to be able to do, and that you really have to understand both. And I think she wrote a book about the dark matter and the divine feminine, because obviously essentially it's the same thing. So shout out to Ashira, because I think she really put a lot of witches on, because I think that before her, the only people that were talking about like dark matter and stuff and decoding and stuff were like conspiracy theory, like black web guys with like beards in like basements. And not necessarily that they're wrong, but just like not the vibe. You know what I mean? And then here she comes along and she's got like her glam room and like makeup and like a new bust down,
She
613 wig
hold
on.
divine feminine, hold divine feminine.
Right. And she's like, let's talk about decoding this Michael Jackson video for symbolism of the occult and like why the Illuminati's real. And everybody was like, wait, this is not the kind of thing we're expecting from you, ma'am. So she kind of opened a different group of people to these concepts. She is the savior of all modern day women. Let me tell you something. Now that I am divorced, she lives rent free in my head, because I refuse. Like, where the fuck was she when I was 19 years old? If I had listened to her back then, I probably never would have married the person that I married. Or if I did, the rules would have been very, very different. And now I will not make those mistakes again. She is my Bible. Okay. Her Instagram is more about the dating channel. Okay, so she has another YouTube called She Raw 7, which is more about the divine feminine. Why, if you are the feminine energy in the relationship, you should be provided for, and the things that you provide in exchange, and like a good balance, and blah blah blah. And people call her a gold digger, and of course, and da 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 da.
Because they mad. Is that the pick Misha that you were telling me about?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
She
yes.
also lives rent free, and I've never even seen the video.
Yeah. I was definitely a pick Misha, and I married a Dusty. She would be very disappointed, but I will not make that mistake again. I will not let mother down this time around. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. She's like, I'm not a dating coach. I'm a money coach. Okay. We
Yeah,
happen
but
to be dating, but this is a business strategy like any other. And the business strategy is
divine
to
feminine receives.
be the ultimate expression of yourself, and to be the type of woman that is going to command a man that is a high earner and that wants to put the woman that he is with in a certain lifestyle. And you are going to take that lifestyle and you are going to use the comforts of it to help you to build your business and build yourself, and make sure that you are not just a housewife in the traditional sense of like, I'm dependent on this man, but I am provided for by this man, and I am also financially independent on my own, because every dime he gives you, you're going to take 25 cents and you're going to buy that bag, and then you're going to take the other 75 cents and you're going to build a business or build a savings, build a pile of money that he has nothing to do with, that he can't touch, that is yours, so that you are not fucked over when 20 years from now he decides he wants to leave you for his, 19-year-old secretary. Okay.
Ew, not
So,
demure.
yeah, she's absolutely a money coach. For sure. And for the men too. It's not just for the women, because she explains how like both parties have to have their shit together
Yeah.
for this to make any sense. So she also motivates men to be earners, to be providers, to be protectors, and to really step into their divine masculine energy, because this whole 50-50 I want to start a podcast is some bitch ass shit, and it's mad feminine. It's not manly at all. Take off
I
the
feel you.
chains and go start a high yield savings account, sir.
Yeah. It reminds me of, because I'm such a nerd, it reminds me of a black hole, dark matter, absorbing the energy. Just take what you're giving me. Oh, okay, cool, copy. So I can fill myself up in like Quasar or someplace else, my ideas. That's very nerdy science talk, but I hope some people understood.
I will say that in all of the years that I've been doing high tea, that is the first time the word quasar has been mentioned.
Thank you.
So you
Thank you.
get that
I'll take that
notable
as a
award.
compliment.
Yes, for sure. Let's see. Trophy wife, not a traditional wife. Yeah, exactly. Right. And you only get a trophy when you're winning, baby. Yes, binge her stuff. It's amazing. And just her whole energy, like it's not a put on with her. It's not like let me, because she was doing it before it was cool. Now it's like you can find a whole bunch of people that are like how to find a high earning man, and how to do, and where to go, and go to the airport bar and get a membership with the Sky Lounge, so you're there. Da, 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 da. So they're dropping all those types of things. She's not necessarily about the strategy. She's about the energy of it. So you'll have people, and they ask the same damn question. She gets kind of tired of it, but you'll have women that'll be like, okay, well, I wanted him to, pay for this thing and he wouldn't, or I didn't think he would. And she's like, and so you go ask the next one. Because, like, how many times do I have to tell you that you never have one person, because you're you don't lock anything in until someone's locked
Right.
you in. Like you don't you stay out there doing whatever until somebody who is going to rise to the top puts in the work to rise to the top. If you want a man that would pay your rent and he won't pay your rent, get another man. Get off of this like I love him bullshit, and realize that there is strategy that should be employed in these situations. Love will come.
Yeah. It sounds like we went off topic, but in a way, it's not at all off topic,
Yeah.
because if you have a hesitation, if you feel like you might be suffering from a witch wound, then stepping into your divine feminine might be just the thing that empowers you to understand that we can contain the power ourselves, and we don't always have to just give it up to God, and because it's out of our reach and we're not connected because it's too high of a power. So bring it back into the self, because it's there to begin with, and they've kind of brainwashed it out of you.
Yeah, you're
So
absolutely right.
divine feminine
Sierra's
work.
prayer, right? You sit and you just pray for God to bring you the right man. No, but you go out and you get the right man. You put
Hmm.
yourself in alignment with the type of person that you want in your life. You radiate that to out there, so you don't go out the house in your bonnet. Like she's in full makeup and a wig when she goes to the grocery store. Like her thing, even, and she's married. But she makes sure that her husband James know. Oh, any day somebody else with more money than me can come along and get it. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm still carrying myself as a projection of what I want in my life. Because not only, even if I'm not looking for another wealthy husband because I'm happy with the one that I have, I still only want wealthy girlfriends. I still only want to be treated like a wealthy person when I go to the grocery store, to the gas station. I want the guy to behind the counter to jump up and pump my gas instead of making me do it. And you and your bonnet and your flip flops are fucking you changing your own tires on the side of the road, bitch. If your car breaks down, ain't nobody stopping for you. But if my car breaks down on the side of the road in my high heels and my
Um,
bust down 613 40-inch wig, guess what? I'm gonna step one pinky toe out this car, and I will have three vehicles pull over instantaneously to help me with this flat tire. So
okay.
she tells you that, like, what you get, what you have in your life, the way that the whole world, the whole universe treats you is based on how you are carrying yourself. And that's absolutely in alignment with the concept of the witch wound. If you are a witch and you want to live in a world where your friends are witches and you are accepted and you are in places where you feel comfortable saying who you are, then project that, carry yourself, lead yourself out into the world as I am the witch. And therefore, what will come into your orbit are the things that are in alignment with that. Yes. Keep a rasta.
You see, so I might have to go like school myself a little bit because I feel like empowered when I
She's playing pickleball.
put gas in my own car.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there is an attraction to divine masculine energy, right? There's
Yeah.
a power to that as well, but it's finding that balance. Uh, I don't mind. I'm thinking about this wrong. Hold up.
That's what she did for me. I would watch her videos because it was a thing where like after a while I listened to them enough that I started to be like, wait a minute. I think I'm thinking about this wrong. Because if I'm with somebody who wants to make sure that I never have to change my own tire, that doesn't mean I don't get to change my own tire. Like I
Yeah, no.
still get to do it if I want
There's
to.
there's
It,
someone who serves you.
I can still I could still do it if I
Yeah,
wanted to.
no, for
It's just
sure.
that I'm not living
Absolutely.
in a life where I have to change the tire because my bitch ass husband doesn't know how.
Mm, mm,
I've
mm,
always done it. So I attracted a man who never needed to know how.
mm. Okay.
Right. So that started to make me think differently about how, okay, and somebody else said this the other day, which I thought was good. I forget who it was now, but they were like, if you are trying to call a particular partner into your life, I think they were talking about like why they went to business school and like why they did certain things. She was like, I wrote down, I'm trying to remember what this was. She was like, I wrote down all of the traits that I wanted in a man. And then I wrote down all of the traits that a man like that would want in a woman. And I realized I was none of that. I was none of that. I didn't dress that way. I didn't carry myself that way. I didn't hang out in those types of places. I didn't have those types of friends. I didn't have that type of education. I didn't do those things. And it made me think of this girl that was my roommate freshman year of college. And we ended up falling out. I kind of understand why. But I will always think of this girl as like somebody that really inspired me. She was also kind of a slut, but that was a side issue. Georgina Sacrius, beautiful Greek girl, looked
Oh
like a
wow, home government.
left. Shout out to Georgina, where you ever at? Because I want her to see this and I want her to know that, girl, you were schooling me and I was too young to understand the lesson. And now I get it. When we were freshmen in college, we both wanted to be lawyers, but for very different reasons. I wanted to be a lawyer because I always wanted to be like the center of attention, the smartest person in the room. I thought lawyers were like, I grew up watching a lot of Law and Order with my mom and Dragnet and all of these like cop and judge shows. And like the lawyers were the ones that always had the answer. They were always put together. And I was like, that's what I want to be. And also, I feel like I can speak on behalf of people because I speak well and I can take their struggle and I can explain it. My first client was my sister. I would go to my mother and I would be like, you should let her go to this party because she did clean her room 3 times this week. Right. So I was always able to like make the argument. So that's why I wanted to be a lawyer. She wanted to be a lawyer because she wanted to be like her mom. Her mom also went to law school, was also very intelligent, did really well, graduated from an Ivy, married a very wealthy dentist, and then immediately stopped working, had some kids, and never had to fucking work again. And they were very rich in Jersey. And Georgina was like, my mother is my idol. I want to be a lawyer because I want to marry a doctor.
Hey, that I
This
understand it. I
girl was
understand
a
the logic. The
party
logic, I
hard
get it.
girl. All the boys wanted to hang out with her. always drinking all the time. But when I tell you this bitch never missed a day of class, was always at the top of the class. People thought she was a bimbo, but she was like, what was it, Elle Woods, the blonde, Legally Blonde. She was like that, where like you look at her and you're like, oh my god. And then she would literally just ace every single class, always have the right answer in class, always study, took her studies really seriously. But it wasn't because she wanted to be a lawyer, change the world, or be super smart. It was because she knew that if she went to an Ivy and she went to a high powered law firm, then she would meet wealthy men who were high powered people who would be able to allow her to never have to work again. And then when her kids were older and she was 50 and she decided she wanted to do something stupid like real estate or start a bakery, she could get 6 figures from her husband and go start her little thing and, you know, make a cool $1 million off of it because all of her friends are also wealthy and connected and will spend $25 on her cupcakes or call her to show them the house that they were going to buy anyway, right? So she had it planned out and she understood the strategy behind what she was doing, that she needed to make herself the type of woman that a man like that would want and would meet and would have an eye for, and that was going to get it. And the last I saw of her before I deleted my Facebook page in like 2010 was that she was getting proposed to by Vikram Rao, Indian boy in our school, in our grade, who both of his parents were Indian doctors, was really fucking rich, took her to Dubai or something like that to propose to her, and was going to be, guess what? A doctor.
God bless. God bless. That's manifestation at its finest. Alignment, intention, magic.
So we're over here talking about, I want a man that's going to take care of me while we over here, you know, in bonnets and flip flops with a GED. Bitch.
It's not the right energy.
And when people, like, when she breaks it down like that, people get like real in their feelings and stuff, because it's like, you
Yeah,
trying to
it's
say I'm
called a
not good
trigger.
enough, you trying to say I'm not da, 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 da. And she's like, it's not about that, it's not a judgment call, it's about vibrating what you want, it's about being a witch, creating your reality, and also working within the laws of the universe, which is, and I say this a lot in the Better Witch Magic Intensive, that we don't really do anything that fantastical, that what we do really is based in science. We manipulate energy that is already there, and we work with the laws of the universe. We work with the ways that energy actually works. And we know that like attracts like. We know this. This is a scientifically proven concept. A bead of water will bore through granite to get to a larger body of water below. So if there's something that you want in your life, if you are not vibrating on that frequency, you're working against science, trying to call it into your life. And when she puts that into the perspective of like dating and relationships, people get butthurt because they want to believe that it's all about like love, or the really religious want to believe that it's about like God liking you enough to give you like a special person.
No, it's sacral chakra energy shit, flow, and having the ability to attract. Definitely one and the same when you think about it.
Monica's very right about that, because I love my husband in the sense that I want the best for him, even though I don't want to be with him. And the absolute truth is that if I understood what Shira is talking about now, I would have either broken up with him immediately or never dated him, because he was not uh, exhibiting then what I would want from somebody. But you know, especially we
Yeah,
women, we love to marry the
that
potential.
one,
We
that
love
one,
to get with the potential. He has the
that one,
potential, but
that one.
yeah.
Pick me.
Hmm.
I could
We
fix you.
always want top tier, but can get real offended when you, yeah, people get really offended and butthurt because they take it as like a, you're insulting my values. And then when you rope in like the religious aspect of it, where it's like, you know, well, God is going to bless you with the right person and you just have to hope and pray and all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, but I heard a really interesting theory about like the single woman thing. And this came from someone from a black church. This came from a black male pastor. One of these like new age pastors that are like, I love Christ and I have a church, but also like I'm not with the shits. So he was really breaking down some stuff, and he was talking about how the church, the black church in particular, I can't really speak for like white church because I never really was a part of that. But the black church thrives off of single black women and single black mothers. These are the people that are serving the food up every Sunday after church, that are taking care of the pastor, that are on the floral club, the missionary board. When women in the church get married, they tend to turn their attentions to the men in their lives. But when women are single in the church, they turn their attention to the pastor as like a surrogate husband, and the church as like a surrogate husband. And so the black church is actually not trying to get you a husband, sis. And that's why they want you to sit there and hope and pray and hope and pray and hope and pray, instead of telling you to put yourself in the position of attracting a man that has the qualities that you want. Because when you find that man, that's going to be the man in your life, not the pastor, not Jesus, not the church. Your husband's going to become the man in your life. And that means you may not spend every Saturday afternoon volunteering at the church functions and all of that stuff. And I thought that was a very interesting theory. It's a theory, obviously, but I thought it was very interesting. Kiara asked, does the witch moon have an overlap with stuff in astrology like Chiron and that wound? Oh, that's your area.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Everything is kind of like, it depends on your own chart, you know what I'm saying? So we have to take all that stuff into consideration. But if you have your birth chart, and these things can kind of be explained, yes, Chiron, but also other things. Mars, Saturn, Pluto, if they're doing particular things in particular areas of the birth chart, I would say that's an indicator of a healer wound, because we also have that, or a witch wound, which sometimes are one and the same, and sometimes people suffer from both of them at the same time. Look for Chiron, Mars, Saturn, Pluto. Look for them in the 8th and 12th house. Okay. If they're in Aries, if they're in a Scorpio, if they're in Capricorn, there is a resistance to that stuff going on. Yeah, Chiron and Aries in the 8th house.
I
Hello.
was going to say, I think my Pluto is in Scorpio in the 8th house, but
I also have a Pluto in the 12th house. Let's not get to it. But there's a lot there. You can definitely find wounded healer information that connects to particularly witch wound. And a lot of it, all this conversation about divine feminine, a lot of it is these interactions with the planetary bodies, etc., in the houses. It's at battle with the divine feminine, or at battle with the divine masculine, and having to find that balance within, because ultimately witchcraft, whatever, witch spirituality, power, energy, that's what it is. And if you want to have that power, that energy, that ability to shift energy in your intentive way, you need to be balanced, both masculine and feminine. And so having any battles in your chart with that, it'll show up, and it'll give you a little bit more info.
yeah. Monica mentioned that for all the coven witches, she's going to drop some info in the coven feed about a woman that teaches a class about some of this like empowerment stuff that we were talking about, vibrating your frequency to draw in an ideal partner. Definitely share that. Thank you very much, Monica. I mean, it's I know Cynthia's been in the church, so like it was interesting as somebody who grew up in the black church, realizing that like 80% of my church were single women, either single women with children, widows, women that never got married, etc. And it was like those were the people who kept the church running. They are the reason why the church was able to do anything, because all of these single women, instead of being at home with their husbands catering to them, were at the church catering to the church and the church children and the pastor and all of that stuff. And it's definitely something interesting to think about. I don't necessarily know if like the pastors of churches are thinking about it that way, if they're like, okay, we have to make sure these women don't get married because otherwise who's gonna like clean the church. But maybe they are. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we learn a lot in the high teas. Yeah, and me too, honestly. Like, even though I have been a practitioner for as long as I have, it's important to understand that I became a witch at the age of 12. So I was still like a kid. It wasn't like I was 12-year-old me being like, I'm the boss and I get it all. You know, I was a kid that was just really interested in my craft and I just in the craft and I just happened to be just like maybe slightly more independent than like the average 12-year-old and the slightly more mouthy and more questionable and more willing to argue with adults. And I was just a little bit more rebellious and
Witchy.
all of that good stuff, a little bit more witchy, but it wasn't necessarily that I had any more wisdom. I was still a kid. And so there are things that I've been reading about for decades, hearing about for decades, but some of which I've only now in my 30s begun to really integrate into my life and understand them at their core and incorporate them into not what I do, but like how I exist. So you guys are learning some stuff, but I'm learning a lot of things right along with you. And I may have like casted more spells than you have or done more rituals or been around the block a little bit longer, but it is certainly not the case that I'm over here like that many more steps along in terms of like wisdom.
Yeah, a lot of it was trial and error. A lot of the time period was trial and error. And damn, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. It'll come back to you, Current and Aries and stuff. By the way, when I say things like, "Oh, my Pluto's in Scorpio in the eighth house" or whatever, like that's all I know. When you guys jump in and you're like, "Oh yeah," and so my thing is in Cap in the fourth house, it's Arabic. I don't know what you're saying. I know like four things about me because I remember it from my chart, but like I don't actually understand. I have a Pluto and Saturn in the 12th. See, Kiara knows astrology. Kiara is into astrology. I remember one time we were talking, and she was like, "Yeah, where like, well, that's because like my thing is like in the Mercury and microbraids in the sixth house, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, girl, that's exactly why." It's like you know more than I do on the astrology part. That's why I have astrologer
It's
friends.
all it's all individual, and you have to take it. It's a big picture kind of thing. Pulling out little points of it and saying this and that is cool and gives you some information. But for me, when I do my astronumerology readings, it's more about the overarching picture of the relationship between the planets.
Yeah.
What's the story there? What are they telling you? Like, what's this soul code you have going on?
Hmm. Yeah, facts. Microbates. Yes, Mercury and microbates, Mercury in the microwave, Mercury in reggaeton,
I like the retro
in
J's,
retrograde. No,
man.
in
Retro J's.
retro J's. I got that from you. I got that one from
I
you.
like that
Mercury and
one.
retro J's. Yes. That's about to be dangerous.
Cause he be bringing it back.
Ooh.
He's bringing it back. He's bringing it back to the
Like,
retro J's.
yeah, that's right. That's why they burned us. That's why they burned us. They were like, why these bitches know what's gonna happen next week in the stars? What do they know?
Mercury
Uh,
and Gatorade.
yes. Oh, that one too. That's a good one. Yeah, yes. Mercury and Renegade. These are great. These are great. Nice. Some new ones for me to use. I love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's super great. And Mercury is in Renegade right now, right? Hence some this
Moving
one I
back
feel
into
like wasn't as
Leo.
bad. The last one, technologically, the last one was through the roof for me. I mean, the way everything was fucking up, I was
No,
just like,
no. You
what
need
is
to go
going on?
listen to my Moonlit Metaphysics because I'm literally in that bitch. Like, and so, Mercury, eh, eh, bitch. I'm like, damn, really? There was a lot of little technical glitches that I've had throughout the week, even working on our stuff. And
Yeah,
I don't know. I told you I'm not on my A game this week. It's a little weird for me. So I
yeah.
don't know if that's because it's transitioning into Leo in retrograde now. So it might have, and the full moon, I don't know. It's some sus. I gotta go read my own blog. I'll be
I
right
saw
back.
somebody the other day, maybe you can clear this up. Now, this was one thing I saw on the internet. Well, it was the news. It was the clip from the news, which I think it's funny how like the news will talk about astrology now these days. But it was a clip on like the news, and I didn't verify it anywhere, but she was calling this upcoming full moon a full super moon in Aquarius, right? That's accurate. But she was calling it a blue moon. And I
Yeah.
was like, I thought a blue moon is when you have two full moons in a month, which this
Yep.
definitely is not.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last full
Yeah.
moon was definitely at the end of July. So was she just wrong about that? Am I missing something about what it means to be a blue moon?
There are different definitions for blue moon, and people like to be cute with it. And so like, but technically, it's for us the second full moon in the month. Traditionally, it's like the third full moon in the season of four full moons, some shit like
Oh
that.
wait, hold on, run that back. Hold on. It's the third full moon in a season.
In like an astronomical season, and I don't really, it's like an older way to call a blue moon, like when there's supposed to be um only three in a, because I think it like breaks down by like,
The
I
four
don't
seasons of
know.
the year.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
only relevant to like temporal
Look,
places.
for me, if it's not the second blue moon in a month, I mean the second full moon in a month, it's
It's not a blue
not
moon.
a blue
Yeah,
moon.
thank you. I
It's
like my
not a
definition. It's
blue
easier.
moon. It's not a
Right.
blue moon. This old school shit that the farmers used, I love, respect to the farmer's almanac, but like that's not relevant to me. Like
Right.
I don't need
It's
to
crazy.
plan out my crop, seeding by the
Yeah.
third full moon of the astrological
And
season.
then also, like, it's funny, like those same news outlets would probably like claim that they're like Christian outlets and stuff like that. And it's like, you're the one that's making me have to like learn astrology to like know what the hell you're talking about. Why can't we just say it's when there's two full moons in a month? Like, let's just do that. Yes, Angie, I love that for you though. Got a huge burst of motivation after feeling really unclear and laggy. Is it true that it's time for Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius placement? That it's a time? Like, what do you mean? Like, it's a time? Like, it's a tough
I
time
think
right now?
I think that's in reference to, in particular, the retrograde moving back into Leo, the Mercury retrograde,
Oh,
and kind of like amping all those signs. The fixed signs, I think, are having a time with this full moon and all that jazz. But right before that, it was the mutable signs getting, and I think that's why I was
yeah.
all messed up for the last week and a half. I'm like, so now
Right.
it's your turn. So thank God. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, whatevs. At this point, I'm building a relationship with Jesus Christ after 25 years of being a witch. At this point, what the fuck? Whatever. I just wake up every day and
Just
whatever
have
happens,
faith,
happens.
bro. Just have faith.
I'm just happy. I'm just having faith and happy to be here. That's all I just want. I'm just happy to be here,
Amen.
everybody.
Amen. So
I'm
motivate.
amazed that I'm here, first of all, and I'm just happy to be here. I hope not. I've got an Aquarius sun and a Taurus rising. I'm very tired. I was gonna lay down all day tomorrow. Why not? Sunday is the day of rest, right? Speaking of
Yeah, well,
Jesus, didn't he say that, or
lay
somebody? I
down.
don't know,
Sunday
saying that?
is like a very
Didn't
active day.
Dad take Sunday
It's
off?
weird. He
Yeah.
took Saturday off in the Jewish religion. That's Sabbath. And technically Sunday's the first day because it's Sunday. It's Aries. It's number one. But you know,
I
whatever.
thought. Wait, hold on. I thought Tuesday would have been Aries day.
Tuesday.
Oh, that's the planet of Mars. That's
Mm-hmm.
Mars's day, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily Aries day.
It's definitely connected to Aries, right? But the sun is the initiator, new beginnings, the tarot card, it's starting new projects, power, it's the sun.
Mm,
So it's not the moon. And so that's like the first day he started working. Let there be light.
yeah. I always really loved how learning Spanish, not that I know Spanish, but like learning the Spanish words for the days of the week helped me with remembering the planetary alignment.
Same. I'm
Super,
literally
super
still
fun.
doing
I
that. I'm
still do
like,
it. No, I'd be
Marte,
like
okay.
martes,
Miércoles.
miércoles, oh,
Oh, okay.
Mercury.
Your
Mercury.
Mercury. Yo, same, bro.
Yes, I
Same, bro.
still do that. That is so funny. I still do that. And then also vice versa. Because I'll be like, what? How do you say Thursday again? Jueves. That
Yeah,
one.
Thor
That
or
one.
something, and the Saturn and the Saturday and the Thor day. That the
Exactly.
English ones help me on that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The only one that would throw me for the loop was Sunday Domingo because I was like, how did the two relate? But it was okay because as long as I went through the other six, I was like,
Yo,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sunday's
I
Domingo.
think it's connected to the fact that It's Dios. Like Domingo coming from the Latinist Dominus, which is God, which is literally like the
Oh,
first
like
day where
Antonin Dominus,
Mhm,
Texas Dominus.
mhm.
Okay. I didn't think about that's what Dominus means. I did not know. I did not know. Alexis is a powerhouse of information, you guys. See, Mandy about to take a nap. Yes. Well, speaking of taking a nap, we have been chatting for dose hours, and while there's not necessarily like a start or finish time for high tea, I try not to take it too long, past like the 2 hour mark or so. So I think this would be a perfect time to wrap this up. First of all, I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can find Alexis. Alexis's website is electricwellness.com. Um, you can hang out with Alexis in the coven. You can just at her in the comments in the coven. Alexis does a monthly moonlit metaphysics on the full moon every month at 8:30 p.m. or the Friday by the full moon every month at 8:30 p.m. So we just had one yesterday, in which you can check the replay out on her YouTube. She's got a great blog where she does astrology forecasts, and she's also the online portal administrator for the portal. So if you are taking classes in our virtual portal, then she is the wonderful witch that's making sure that all of that is nice and operates well for you, and also has some really great classes herself. A master class on pendulum magic, several classes on how to work with crystals, including the crystal concoction class, where you can learn to make crystal infused oils and elixirs and waters, and figure out which one of those crystals is safe to put in your bath and which one will kill you and all of that shit. So she's got amazing stuff. But I'm going to give you the opportunity, Alexis, to plug yourself. Like, what's going on with you? You mentioned a webinar that I'm excited about because I didn't know about it. So, what do we have to look forward to from you, in the shop, on the portal, otherwise?
In the shop, I would like to bring some sound baths later on in, October, November, December. So look out for that. I would just recommend that you sign up for my newsletter in order to get a heads up on those things because
Wait, hold on. Your sound changed a little bit, and I just want to make sure people hear you. It just got like a little bit distant,
hold up.
which is fine. You can just like yell.
Uh,
I think it was in your headphones before, and now I think it's in your computer.
Probably. I don't know why I would do such a thing, but
Let me see if there's anything I can do. No, I can only control
now
mine.
does that sound better?
Oh, yeah, that's better. Okay.
Okay, so now let me call. All right. So yeah, I direct you to my website to sign up for my newsletter because you'll get the updates for that. The sound baths in BronxWitch HQ, they sell out super fast. So you'll want to get a heads up on those. Um, but my moonlit metaphysics last night, I encourage anybody who is really into this topic to go look at that because that's all about grounding, centering, and cleansing. Really important aspects that give you the confidence to even step into this whole spiritual game to begin with, to call yourself the witch that we already know you are because you're watching this. But yeah, go watch that. The next Moonlit Metaphysics on September 13th is going to be about the clairs because I find like as soon as we start learning about grounding, we are clairvoyant and an empath. And I don't disagree. You very well may be, but like, are you? Like, sure.
Yeah.
And so people have predominant clairs. There's a lot of obscure clairs that people don't even know about. People don't really know how to tell which one is their clair. And I have some easy ways to do that. So we're going to talk about the clairs. And then on September 25th, we're going to do a webinar. So you can also find that on my website, electricwellness.com, and under events. But the webinar is about discovering your psychic type. And this is a class that I've taught prior, but I felt like I needed to bring it back. And then I'm going to bring it back into the portal. So if you don't catch the live webinar, you will be able to take it later on in the online portal. But essentially, it's really not about the clairs. So we're going to talk about them in the moonlit metaphysics, but it's not about that. It's about your primary psychic type. And I'm going to go into these 4 primary types. I'm going to have like a little cute little interactive quiz that you can take to kind of figure out your primary type and then give you some actual practical tips exercises that you could use for each individual type to strengthen your gifts. But also, if you're like, oh, I thought I was going to be that type, I really want to be that type, then bitch, you need to strengthen your primary type first in order for you to engage in the other types. And the more progressed and involved you become in your spiritual game, you will be all the types, right? But we start at a primary first. So we're going to get all up in that conversation on September 25th in the Discover Your Psychic Type webinar.
Oh, I love that. Love that
Can I
very
just shout out that it's
yeah.
literally $11.11 right now on some early bird special shit, because I haven't even told my newsletter about this yet. So that email's going out at the end of the month, and you have a few days to, so you have a little chunk of time to get it at that price, because it's going to go up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is a super low intro price. I love that. That is very kind of you. If you guys are interested in all of the things going on with MWA, the Better Witch Magic Intensive, the fall semester kicks off September 4th. Last day of enrollment for that is August 28th. Hintity hint, hint, hint. If you take my How to Connect and Work with Your Spirit Guide class that went live on August 14th, there might be some special offers in there to make that more affordable for you if you are legitimately interested in joining us for the fall semester. I am doing my first ever witch talk. It's like a TED talk, but for witches, lecture series at HQ. There will be wine. We will talk about witchcraft. But if you are not local to the New York City area, then I will be live streaming that for the Coven Witches. So many amazing reasons to be a part of the Coven. Coven witches that are witches of color or BIPOC identifying witches, meet me tomorrow at 10 p.m. in the Coven for our Witches of Color support group. It's our monthly meeting just for witches of color to talk about the unique challenges that we go through. And we are going to be talking specifically about slavery, the effects of slavery. And, tonight's convo was about healing the witch wound. And now we're kind of talking about healing the slave wound, another trauma that many of us are carrying with us, even though we obviously weren't alive for it. But that definitely impacts our abilities to really fully express ourselves without fear of what might happen. And I imagine that this conversation is going to be really intense. So if you've got some feelings about that, come and express, and know that you're going to be in a safe space. It is a WOC BIPOC Witch only space. So we thank our allies, our non-POC allies for, respecting us from afar and giving us the support in spirit so we can have this space to, just be us. And then lots of big things happening at HQ, lots of shifts going on. The website has gotten a complete upgrade. And if you are tired of shopping on our website and finding the book you want to be sold out or that we don't have it, never again do you have to worry about that because of our amazing new bookshop storefront. So if you haven't checked out BronxWitch.com in a while, please, pretty please. I do the website, and it has changed a lot in the last 5 years. So please go take a look at all of my hard work at BronxWitch.com. I think you'll be really impressed. And that's also where you are going to find the Coven, the virtual classes, the events, all of the great things that we're talking about, connecting with Alexis in the Find a Witch directory. All of these things you can find at BronxWitch.com. So if you're not sure where to go, just start there and check the menu, and you'll probably be led in the right direction. All right. So thank you guys so much. Monica says, can't wait for it. I think she's talking about your classes and stuff that are coming up, which is awesome. Kiara's looking forward to the Better Witch Magic Intensive because she's enrolled in the fall semester. Yes. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, witches, for being here for another High Tea Live. If you want to be in the room, if you want to see your comments on the screen, if you want to be able to ask questions in the next one, make sure to join the Coven. Check me and Alexis out in there. So
Thank you.
have a great night, everybody. Blessed be.